in the run-up to Armistice Day, we are travelling along the Western Front. Yesterday we're in Amiens, and today we're elsewhere, building up with stories towards behind as well, I think, about the Great War.
Yes, this morning our correspondent Robert Hall is in the French city of Arras, and he joins us now. Morning.
Good morning, you two. Yeah, we're actually just south of Arras at the Thiepval Memorial, which dominates the Somme battlefield. It is one of the most impressive and moving monuments, certainly, that I've ever visited. It commemorates over 72,000 men from Britain and South Africa whose remains were never found. I just want to take you, though, to one name. It's the name of Corporal George Smith from the Durham Light Infantry, and his story links us to two families from the northeast of England. Two families, 8 sons lost.
They were just from what they called the slums down in Bridgegate, down in Barnard Castle. Their mother, she always said that, you know, never have boys because all of the are is cannon fodder, and that was her. She was known for saying that. But like she said, they'd done the country proud.
6 Smith brothers answered the call for volunteers. The first 2 were killed within weeks of arriving in France. 3 more as the war moved towards its close. With help from the local community, their desperate mother wrote to Queen Mary. She agreed to ask for 19-year-old Wilf Smith to be sent home.
When I found out that he had brothers, I said, what happened to them? He still wouldn't tell much. He died and that was it.
If it hadn't have happened, if they hadn't have brought him home, then none of us here, of like the family now, would be here to tell the tale, and nobody would ever have known about it.
"30 miles east of Barnard Castle, another family is being remembered. George and Amy Bradford watched 4 sons leave to join the services. This new memorial in Witton Park marks the 3 who didn't return.
They're very brave men, and there was many of them. I personally couldn't have done anything what they've done. The first one to die was James. James died on the operating table. Roland was the cleverest in the family, and he was really respected by his men. George was in the Royal Navy. He went on a suicide mission, and he was just cut down in a hail of bullets.
Roland and George Bradford both won the Victoria Cross. Their family story has been told here for 100 years, and this community has pledged to continue the tradition.
We don't want to glorify war. War should never be glorified, but always to remember, lest we forget.
After the armistice, Barnard Castle held a parade to honour its war dead. Margaret Smith and her surviving son were asked to lay the first wreath.
Oh, it was a very brave thing. She did it for her kids, and she thought she did it for everybody. Sorry.
I have a boy and a girl, and they both know about it. I'd like them to go on and tell their family and just keep it alive. They fought for the country, didn't they?
Well, I'm going to tell you about where we're going tomorrow in just a moment, because first I want to bring you something quite extraordinary, and actually this will probably be the first time people have heard it. It is a recording recreating the sound of the guns falling silent on the 11th of the 11th. That's on Armistice Day. It's been compiled by sound engineers using measurements made by troops. They used to use microphones to calculate where the guns were and plot them on a graph. And what the engineers have done is taken that graph and used today's technology to recreate the sounds of the battlefield on the 11th of November 1918. Take a listen to this. standing here, that just sends a tingle up your spine, really. It's just extraordinary to imagine that. Tomorrow we head north to Neuve-Chapelle and the story of the Forgotten Army, the soldiers from South Asia that fought for the Commonwealth. Back to you.
And Robert, you are absolutely right. That's
Wow.
a very, very powerful piece of sound, and the silence is quite something. Thank you very much indeed.